Hey everybody, this is Kody Bateman. Welcome to our Relationship Marketing Weekly Show. It's 1 o'clock straight up here in sunny Salt Lake City, Utah. Really excited for our show today and the guests that we have today. If you're just tuning in, just say hi to us. People are already tuning in from all over the world. We have people tuning in from Canada, all over the United States, Singapore today, and the guests that we have. Looks like we've got a couple of other places as well. So just say hi to us as you're coming in, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We have an action-packed show available for you today. We're very, very excited for this guest. This guy today, he is the epitome of a master relationship marketer. I mean, he's probably one of the best as far as implementing relationship marketing tools into his business. We have the one and only Mr. Jordan Adler. This guy today, he is the best-selling author of Beach Money, and he's also coming out with a sequel to Beach Money called Better Than Beach Money. We'll talk about that a little bit later today. He's a master network marketer, and he's in the top income earners of all network marketing people throughout the entire industry. He's featured all over the world as a network marketing expert and trainer. And he's just a master marketer, master at sales. Please welcome Mr. Jordan Adler. Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Thanks, Kody. How are you doing? Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. It looks like you're in your place down there in Las Vegas. And
I'm in Las Vegas today.
Excited to have you with us. We want to jump right in, Jordan. We got so much to cover here. We got to do it pretty quickly. First of all, for those listening in, a lot of people know who you are and exactly what you do, but we have a lot of guests who may not know who you are. So can you just tell us what you do? Just you're a network marketer and you're an author and you're a trainer, but just kind of give everybody a overview of what you do.
Yeah, I've been an active network marketer since about 1981, but started having success as a professional in the 90s, and I've been a full-time network marketer now for about, I don't know, maybe 17, 18 years, maybe in that range. It might even be more than that. I haven't actually calculated it, but wrote a book back in 2008 that became a bestseller, and actually in the process of writing my second book. So I'm an author and a network marketer. That's what I do for a living. That's my career.
So I know that network marketers don't like to refer to themselves as salespeople, but the reality is they're salespeople. Is that right?
Sure. I mean, we ask questions to uncover people's needs, and then we show them how whatever it is that we offer can help fulfill their needs, whatever that is, whether it's to take advantage of a product or a service, or possibly an income opportunity. So that's just what we do. So it's really it's the same regardless of whatever sales profession you choose.
Exactly. So just want to make sure that everybody listening in kind of understands, you definitely are in the sales and presentation business, and everybody wants to know, how successful people, regardless of what industry you're in, how successful people become successful. One of the things you talk a lot about, Jordan, is growing up, you had I call them author mentors. There were authors, you read books. You had author mentors that taught you the value of having a strong network. I think people need to hear that story because that's kind of where your philosophy came from. Can you share that with us?
Sure. I read a book probably in the 90s, I'm guessing, called Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive by Harvey McKay. And I remember, the one thing I remember about that book is he talked about the value of a network. And he said, if you want to predict the future of someone's income, look at the size of their Rolodex. And so I went out and bought a Rolodex and started going places where people had business cards, and I'd collect business cards and put them in the Rolodex and do my very best to stay in touch with them and look for ways that I could add value to their lives. And I did that for years. So in fact, I meant to have a stack of business cards here, because everywhere, all the places that I live in a couple different places, and I've got stacks of business cards, because what I do is I go places where people have business cards and I ask them for their business card. That was one of the books, was Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive. Another one was Joe Girard's book, How to Sell Anything to Anyone. He was in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the top car salesman in the world. And he talked about, networking and getting people's business cards and handwriting nice to meet you notes and those kinds of things. And I remember he had a huge impact on my career, as did Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling. And he actually talked about the value of the network. Your network is your most valuable asset. And so that was heavily anchored in my mind from a pretty young age. And so as I grew in my career and got more and more involved in sales and network marketing, I started to really place attention on the importance of building your network, building your contacts, and doing your very best to stay in touch with those people, as well as make sure that you look for ways that you can add value to their lives.
So we may have some millennials listening in that don't know what a Rolodex is. You know, that's back in the olden days where everything was on paper. And I miss my Rolodex, actually. I loved having that great big thing with a ton of business cards in it. So in 2004, you were introduced to a system where you started putting those business cards into an online system. And so your Rolodex kind of turned into a contact manager that you managed online. And tell us a little bit about that, because when you first was introduced to that system, the first thing you did, I think, is a really cool story. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, a contact manager is just an electronic Rolodex, and the beauty of it is that it's ever expandable. I mean, you can add as many contacts to it as you want. And so, but what I've also found is that in today's high-tech world, most electronic Rolodexes or contact managers are not very usable. They really don't provide a lot of value. People put their contacts into them, but they kind of get lost in cyberspace. And so, lost in cyberspace, I kind of like that.
That's good.
And, yeah. So I was introduced to a system back in 2004, and it allowed you to send cards through the mail from the computer. And I had, like I said, I had stacks and stacks of business cards. I had thousands of business cards that I collected over the years. And for quite a few years, I wasn't doing anything with those cards. They were just stacking up. So when I saw the system, I started putting the contacts into the system, taking each business card and literally entering them into the system. And while they were in there, I would send them a card in the mail, a physical greeting card from the system in the mail, just to reconnect. So I would say something like, I haven't talked to you in a while. I sure would like to get caught up. Hope you're doing great. Why don't you give me a call sometime? And I put my phone number in there and my picture in the card. And I sent, in my first week, I put 350 people into my contact manager and sent out 350 cards. And I started using this the week before New Year's in 2005, New Year's 2004, right before 2005, I started using it. And so I sent out a bunch of holiday cards as well. I missed the Christmas holiday. I did get a bunch of cards out for the New Year's holiday. So I sent out a bunch of cards, and lo and behold, 4 days later, my phone was ringing with people that I hadn't talked to in a long time that just wanted to reconnect.
Well, it's interesting. How often do people receive a greeting card in the mail? I mean, it's such an unusual thing, and I think a lot of people underestimate the power of that. All of a sudden, out of the blue, and you send all these cards out, the receiver of those cards, it's very unexpected. And the greeting card's cool. It's nice. You say nice things to them on the card, and it does initiate a phone call typically. And so it's kind of real cool. And you kind of springboarded a new business that you got into based on nourishing your network, like you talked about.
As you say, Kody, people really do underestimate the power of it. I mean, I walked into my State Farm insurance agent's office and walked in, and the first thing I noticed on his bookshelves were the approximately six cards that I'd been sending him over the past couple of years. He had them displayed up on his shelf. And so, every time he walks by those cards, he thinks of me. Same thing, I walked into my publisher's office, and I had sent him a card about 5 years ago. He had moved 2 times, and the card that I'd sent him was sitting on his desk, and he'd moved 2 times. And the reason he had that card on his desk is because it was important to him. It had a picture of his family on the front. And I walked in, and he thanked me. I hadn't been in his office in a long time, and he thanked me for the card that I'd sent him 5 years ago. And
okay, so that story you just told, that does not happen on Facebook.
No.
See what I mean? I mean, it's like, so one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, you're big on Facebook too. I mean, you reach out to people on Facebook, and you post on their walls, you do all that kind of stuff that people tell you to do in social media. You're real good at that too. But what's the difference between that and what you're talking about, that physical card in the mail?
Again, those photos get lost in cyberspace. They're out there, but people, I mean, they just kind of disappear on the wall after a very short period of time. Whereas when you send somebody something physical in the mail, and you can do it as easy as sending it right from your phone, from your smartphone, or from your computer. When you do that, that card, if it's done effectively, which we'll talk about, is something that people will cherish, and for a number of different reasons. And so they remember it's something different. In today's high-tech world, you know, people, they're so immersed in the electronic stuff that when a card comes in the mail, it's something special. And especially if it has a gift attached to it, it's special. And people remember you. They do business. People will do business with you as a salesperson or a network marketer. People will do business with you because they like you, they trust you, but there's one that everybody always forgets. They have to remember you. You know, I didn't have, for example, Kody, I have never had a need for a security alarm system. And I probably had met 25 security alarm system people in my life, and I couldn't tell you the name of one of them. So when somebody finally broke into my home in the mountains, I needed a security alarm system. If the guy had sent me a couple of cards, one guy of the 25, I would have called that person. But now, for the past 8 or so years, somebody's been receiving a residual check from me on their security alarm system as a result of a search that I did on the internet.
Wow.
You know, if I had remembered one of them, but so people will do business with you because they like you, they trust you, and they remember you. And the best way I know to get someone to remember you is send them 2 or 3 cards a year. Just tell them you're thinking about them.
Okay, so obviously greeting cards is your primary marketing and sales tool. I mean, you use greeting cards in a lot of unique ways. You have a simple system that you can trigger it right from your smartphone, and you can do a lot of really cool things very easily. You have what you call card trigger points, greeting card trigger points that you live by, basically. And these are really cool. I hope people get out your pad of paper and listen to Jordan's card trigger points that he uses. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so I've been sending cards now for about 13 years. I've sent out about 70,000 cards, and I look for reasons to send people cards. I would say somewhere in the range of 99% of all my business is referral only. And the reason for that is because I've got 4,300 people in my contact manager over the past 13 years, and I send them cards on a regular basis. Those people receive all of them receive at least a couple cards a year from me. So when they're ready, they call me. I don't need to call them. They call me. One of the things I do is when I take a vacation, I'll take pictures from my iPhone from the vacation. I'll just put them on a card, and I'll just say, having a great time in Bora Bora. And I'll send that to a bunch of people.
I've received some of those from you. Those are cool.
Yeah. I'll send this to 200 or 300 people with some pictures from our vacation on a card. That's one example. Another thing I do is I look for events on Facebook from my friends that they're celebrating. For example, they got a new puppy, or grandma just turned 100. Or for example, Ricky Villanueva, my friend, got married. And so I took pictures from his Facebook wall, which he doesn't have the physical pictures, and I just put them in a card and I mailed it to him. And I do that. I look on a daily basis. I scan Facebook, and it's as easy as saving the picture from Facebook onto your phone and then uploading it onto the card, and then literally selecting the contact and hitting send. You type in any message you want. Another example, promoting my book. When my first book came out, when my audio book came out, I created a card with the CD on the front. This was an older card, but I sent this card out to let people know that the audio book was coming out. And then with my new book coming out, Better Than Beach Money, I did a little announcement card with the covers on the front and the back of the book on the back of the book, and a little note inside the book that just tells everybody why I'm writing the book and what it's about and where they can order it on pre-order. So I use cards in a lot of different ways. One more example, this is one that I love, Kody, is I like sending out random cards. So I send probably 5 of these a week, 2 to 5 a week, sometimes more. This is a random acts of coffee, and this is just from the card catalog. It's a little coffee stain. And on the front it says, given enough coffee, I could rule the world. And then inside the card, it just says, I believe in random acts of coffee. And then I have a $10 Starbucks card there.
Right.
And I'll just send this to people that I've met randomly. And so somebody that I've met and I've shaken their hand and I've nice to meet you card, maybe 3 or 4 months later, they get this card from me that says, I believe in random acts of coffee with a $10 Starbucks card. And what does that do? That creates something called the law of reciprocity. And the law of reciprocity means when people do nice things for you, you tend to want to do nice things for them. So I look for reasons to do nice things for people on a daily basis. And then when I'm ready to get an appointment, and it's a slam dunk, it's 100%. So I get 100% of the appointments that I request because I do stuff like this. So when I contact somebody and I send them a text message and say, I want to get together, they always say yes.
Wow, that's incredible. Very, very powerful stuff. I know the system that you use also allows you to create groups of people, and you do a lot in sending cards to specific groups of people that I think is very intriguing that everybody listening could really learn from. Can you kind of just walk us through a little bit of what you do there?
Sure. So when I put a contact into my contact management system, I also usually will put them into a group. So it might be a prospect. It might go into a prospect group. It can go in multiple groups. If I speak at a networking event, maybe there's 25 people there. I'll get business cards. I'll go home and put those into my home office, and I'll put those contacts into my contact manager in that group with the name of the networking group. And then I can send all of them a card at the same time. I can send all of them a nice to meet you card. And then I'll also send a card to if they all work out of the same office, like if I'm going to speak at an office, and let's say there's 15 people there, I will put them in individually into my contact manager and put them in a group with the name of that office on it. But then I'll also send a card to the office. Usually I'll take a group picture while I'm there, and I'll send a card to the office along with a nice wooden crate full of brownies and cookies and popcorn that they can all share within the office. And yeah, I have to invest a little money in doing that. It's not a lot, but it's some money. And I do that, but you know what? It pays, it comes back multiple times because of the relationships that I'm building with all those people and the referrals that I get constantly, every day, referrals from people that are interested.
So I think when people listen to these stories, a lot of times what I hear from our listeners is they get a little bit of intimidated by hearing you say, I've sent 70,000 cards. I do all these different types of card sending, and people get this idea that you have to spend all of your time sending cards every day. Can you just share this? I mean, because when you break it down, it's really not much. How much time do you spend a day on this, and on average, how many cards a day?
Average 3 to 10 cards a day. Most of them are from my phone on the run, standing in the line at the bank or waiting for a flight, or even sitting in a parking lot before I leave the parking lot. So, and I do that in seconds. But last night I came home and I had 3 business cards that I'd collected from this jet show that I was at. And I had taken some pictures, and I sat on my couch and I sent out 3 cards. It probably took me 15 minutes. I sent out 3 cards and gifts to people that I had met at the jet show, and I had their business card and took pictures. So I put those pictures on the cards and sent them a nice to meet you card. This is crazy, Kody. My Uber driver taking me from the convention center back here to the Mandarin Oriental. We were driving, and it turns out he's a realtor. And the more we talked, we found out we knew each other.
Wow.
And so I got his business card, and I sent him I took a picture with him, a selfie, and I sent him a card last night saying, great to run into you. Let's get together for coffee.
Well, I'll tell you, Jordan, I wish we had more time because, there's so much information. We appreciate you sharing all of the little tidbits, the card trigger points, all the things that you shared with us today. Again, I hope y'all took good notes because these are great things that you can do to create success in your life the way Jordan has. You use a system called Send Out Cards, and those who might be interested in that, just get back with the person who shared this show with you on Facebook and ask them more about it, because I'll tell you, this is a great system to use. At the end of the day, we're just trying to teach people how to be nice to each other. That's really what we do, and it's an exciting thing. The world needs it. The world needs to come together right now, and we have a great system to help you do that. You would be interested to know, Jordan, and maybe you can help me talk a little bit about next week's show. We're going to have Dr. Ivan Meisner. He is the founder of BNI. He's going to be my guest on the show next week. I know you know Dr. Meisner really well, and maybe you could just share with everybody why they need to be here next week.
Dr. Ivan Meisner has built the largest private networking organization in the world. with somewhere in the range, I don't, they've got hundreds of thousands of members all around the world. And they're a business networking organization with chapters, many, many chapters. And he loves just teaching people how to build relationships and how to network. And his philosophy and training is invaluable. And so I recommend being on the show. It's going to be an amazing show.
Well, thanks again, Jordan. We appreciate you. Thank you, all of you, for tuning in. We will see you next Wednesday, 1 o'clock Utah time. And everybody have a wonderful day. Take care now.
Thanks, Kody. Bye-bye.